So I'm back because it's a lot of fun doing these things, and I really hope my sound's working this time because last time it did not. Anyways, so I'm going to talk more about Sayana, and this will include stuff like um, weaknesses and fears, magic, religion, love life, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to start with weaknesses and fears. Um, Sayana, first of all, she has this need to feel in control, and this could be a weakness or a fear because, well, it's kind of a weakness because if she's out of control, she feels very vulnerable, and it's also a fear because, again, if she's out of control, she feels vulnerable. So, this can apply to like a situation if she's not in reasonable control over it, um, or it could apply to her emotions if they're running rampant and she doesn't know what to do with them. Then again, she feels out of control and it distresses her. Um, Next, she fears Zith quite a lot. This is partly because of her history, mainly her traveling from Anatep to Sileris. It was by being accompanied, politely said, by a Zith. This was because she was essentially captured and a slave for the Sith for that trip, and she often feared for her life, and she tried to do the best to keep herself alive, and there was, unpleasant stuff like rape. So that has been uncomfortable for her, and it has affected her memories and some of her future threads since then. Her next fear is her fear of being alone or disliked. Event has actually pronounced that fear of being disliked. But also, if she fears being alone for like extended periods of time, she could. I don't know if she'd be very good at traveling just in general because she's alone, um, or with a small group of people. Um, but I mean, she can handle being alone for, a day or two, but for extended periods of time, it really gets to her. One of her weaknesses is that she lacks patience. I mentioned this in my last vlog, um, and this also results in the fact that she is not very literate. She's got very poor reading and writing skills, and this is because as a child she really didn't care about reading and writing. She much preferred to go out dancing and be seductive and learn all those skills rather than sitting around with, a stick and trying to decipher stuff on a paper. She doesn't really think highly of it. And so it's partly due to her lack of patience and partly just because she doesn't think it's very important. Um, and then her last, or one of her other weaknesses or fears is that she doesn't like to show any of her weaknesses. So she doesn't like to show um, if she's like financially, you know, not very stable. She'll still put down her coin and everything, and um, if she's emotionally feeling weak, then she'll hide it in whatever way she can, um, or or she'll lie, or she'll ignore the fact, or she'll try and change the topic, anything to not look weak, and even something like dealing with the cold weather of Sileris, because she's from Anatap, she would suffer through it just so that she doesn't look weak. um, Next topic is magic, which isn't really a strong part for Sayana because currently she doesn't have any magic. But if she did have any magic, well, she wouldn't be good at very much. The only real magic she might be good at is Auristics, and it might be plausible. Most magic requires a lot of patience and concentration, Auristics also requires some, but probably less than others. And it's more plausible for Sayana because she'd be able to gain some useful information by learning more about people, like the people she's interacting with, like being able to understand them better, and that she would actually care about. Something like hypnotism, she might think that it's like it would blend well with her personality of, socially manipulating people, but she would probably prefer to use her social skills rather than some magic called hypnotism that requires X amount of concentration and all this patience and all this extra stuff, and she'd rather just do it her own way and socially manipulate it. So she wouldn't actually decide to pursue hypnotism. Next topic is religion. She's only moderately religious, not very, although I might have her develop that side of her more. Um, Her mother named her after the goddess Sayana, um, and if you notice, Sayana just has two extra A's in comparison to Sayana. And so it's a variation, not precisely named after Sayana, but still. And for me as a writer, it was just a happy coincidence because I named Sayana long before I came to Mizahar. And Sayana, for those who don't know, is the goddess of sun, sight, joy, and energy, and so that very well fits with Sayana's personality. And Sayana's also is fairly interested in the goddess Makutsi because as a child she witnessed a rain dancer, and there was dancing, and then there was rain, 5 hours later, um, and she was very awed by this, um, like in awe of it this when she was a child because rain doesn't normally happen in Anatep. Um, and then there's a couple of other goddesses that they seem like they might fit her personality, but in reality, I don't know if she'd actually pursue them. These are the goddesses Shiva and Nikali. Shiva is the goddess of love, marriage, passion, and vows. And while Sayana is very passionate and she loves like everybody, she loves a lot of people. Um, the vow part, the marriage part, she's still not entirely sure of. Um, and so she might not pursue Shiva because of that. And then Nikali is the goddess of servants, slavery, lust, pleasure, addiction. Um, Sayana would probably have, the lust, pleasure, probably addiction too. But she's so proud of herself. She's got so much pride that she wouldn't bend down to be a servant of someone else. Even though in my original making of Sayana, she's got these slavery origins. But now in Mizahar, she does not, and it would not quite blend with her personality. Um, Another interesting goddess, or at least an interesting um, gnosis mark, um, and a cursed gnosis mark. This would be the mark from Nora or Ganora, however you want to pronounce it. This is the goddess of logic, order, and balance, and would have the severing gnosis. Sayana's personality currently rather reflects the cursed gnosis. I'll just read it out. Um, a cursed individual begins to have a very hard time saying no to their wants and desires. They indulge in sensory experiences too much, often growing childish and reckless. They also feel an increase of feeling and find themselves behaving inappropriately in many situations. It becomes difficult to have roles of leadership or control. This actually reflects Sayana very much, and it amused me when I first read it. She does not actually have this mark, because I don't think she's pissed off the that goddess in any particular way. way, but it is very much in tune with her personality. Um, Moving on, I'll go to love life. Sayana had has been friends with benefits with Garland. Um, she got very friendly pretty soon, but she decided that she would not be the one to take his virginity. So that did not go all the way, but it was still a lot of fun for her. Now Garland's with April, and now Sayana has moved on to Aaron, or Aaron, or however you want to call it. I call him Aaron. And so she's had a thread with him and a little bit. They had a one night stand, which was fun. Um, and lots of fun flirting. Um, very typical of her personality. And yeah, there's gonna be some fun complications for that because Santa, in her history, she has only had one incident where she was pregnant, but then she went to a midwife who helped her abort the baby through herbs and stuff like that, poisoning yourself and then having to endure that, like, ugh. But that was only one incident, and Santa's been, quite out there. And as a writer, I thought if she's gonna get all this pleasure, she's gonna face the consequences too. So she's gonna get pregnant soon. Well, I mean, she's already, yeah. She's gonna find out about it soon, and it could result in all sorts of different options, like could be a miscarriage, it could be a stillborn, it could result in abortion, it could be a difficult childbirth, there could be adoption at the end, she might actually raise the kid. So I'll probably ask an unbiased storyteller to choose which option would be most plausible or most interesting for them. And although I'm not going to leave them the opportunity to choose that Santa's going to die during pregnancy, which she's actually legitimately afraid of. But as a role player, I kind of like my character, and I'm not ready to part with her yet. So, so that's all that for Love Life, and then I'm going to give a little teaser for Santa's dancing, because later I'm going to do a vlog with just a dance, but I'd like to show off a little bit right now. So I'm just going to turn the screen, get some space. And yeah, I really like my cleavage, but that's okay. I have to see my hips though. Ta-da! So, cords are in the way, but that's alright. So, I've done some belly dancing, and there's like stuff like shimmying, you can do chest circles, pops, and then lots of stuff with the hips. And then these I call hip accents, so if you're ever reading my writing, like stuff like that. And of course with Sayana, there's all the arms. The arms and the hands, and how they move. Of course I only have two arms, so I can't do the same. But, and so there's also chest shimmies, and then there's hip shimmies. I don't know if you can see the vibrating, but it's like this, but much faster. And you can actually move around with them, and you can do figure eights. So, lots of fun stuff. And you can also do belly rolls. Although I use my hips and chest a lot more than my belly. So, that's everything.